Hello, Amy Porterfield. Welcome to the She Means Profit podcast. I am beyond excited to have you here with us today.
Oh my goodness, I've been looking forward to this. Thanks so much for having me.
You have got some amazing news coming up, and I'm excited because I think I'm one of the first people to share this news, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm going to let you announce it, so take it away.
Well, I officially have a book out in the world. Well, kind of. We're in pre-sale phase right now, but I wrote a book and you can absolutely buy it now. And it's called 2 Weeks Notice. And it's all about finding the courage to quit your job or quit whatever is no longer serving you and move into creating a business by your own design. And so it's everything that I've learned along the way in creating my own business and all the mistakes and all the successes wrapped up in one. So I'm really excited about it.
I am so excited for you. I mean, I got a pre-copy, so I'm not going to lie. I did get to read it, and it's a fabulous book.
Ah, you.
So now your book, it's geared towards what kind of reader?
So when I wrote the book, I thought this is the book that I want or I wanted when I was first starting out almost 14 years ago. And when I think about who I was working in a 9 to 5 job. It was a corporate job. I worked for Tony Robbins, and it was actually an amazing job. The things I got to do, the places I got to go, the people I met, I wouldn't change it for the world. But I wanted freedom. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to work when I wanted to work, how I wanted to work, where I wanted to work. I wanted that so bad. But I never really had entrepreneurial dreams. I wasn't the kid that had the lemonade stand and sold things on the side in high school or whatever. Like it wasn't part of my fiber. And so thinking about going out on my own, doing my own thing felt very, very foreign. But that desire for freedom was bigger than anything. And so when I think about who I wrote the book for, it's typically for women. And although the gentleman can get value out of it as well, but it's for that woman who is in a 9 to 5 job or doing something right now that she keeps thinking, this can't be it. This can't be the end all be all. There's got to be something more for me out there. And she's looking to call the shots and to be her own boss and to create something by her own design. And I think there are so many women out there right now that want that so bad, but many women have no idea where to start. I sure as heck didn't. And so if I could find the women who think like, what do I do, Amy? How do I make this leap? How do I find the courage? That's who this book is for.
I love it. And you know what? Just a comment on the side too is while I was reading it, it was an excellent refresher too.
Uh,
Some of the things that I knew, but I hadn't been doing as frequently as I should be doing.
yes.
It was that reminder like, oh, I have to get on this. I have to keep doing that because I've let it slip.
I'm going to remember that because there's a lot of people in my audience who have already started their businesses, maybe even left behind their 9 to 5 job, but that solid foundation of building an online business, there's just things you've got to do and do consistently, like you
Yeah.
said. And I always tell my students, look, you might have heard me talk about it, but are you doing it yet? So I love that it could be a refresher for those that are building their businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people who are starting out and feeling that overwhelm, like you have to be on or you feel like you have to be on every social platform and doing everything, and it's very overwhelming, especially at the beginning. What do you suggest that they focus on?
Ooh, I love this question. So when you're just getting started, where to focus? I would say two areas that I think are most important. Number one is to get clear on how you want to make money. Now, again, in the beginning, it might look very different than 2, 3 years down the road. I make money very differently than I did my first few years of business. But we got to bring some money in because obviously you got to make some money, but also it starts to give you that courage and confidence to think, okay, maybe I could keep going a little further. Maybe I could stay in the game a little bit longer. And so thinking about what do you have that you can offer somebody else? And it doesn't have to be as elaborate as a digital course or a membership or anything like that. It could be in the beginning. Here's one of the things I did. I was known for Facebook marketing in the very, very beginning. And I used to audit people's Facebook pages. This is in the Wild West when no one knew what they were doing with social. So I would audit their Facebook page, give them a full review of what's working, what's not working, and my suggestions. And they'd pay me $300. And I did like 10 of these a month to make some extra money. Those kind of things, getting scrappy, how could you add value in terms of exchanging it for money is so important. So that's one thing to think about. And the other thing is you've got to be creating content. Now, I didn't used to teach this. I didn't even know what the word content really meant in my first few years of business. Like it just seemed like such a weird word to put out there and talk about. But then I realized, oh, everything we do is content. The fact that you know my husband Hobie, my dog Scout, my son Cade, and you know what I do in business, it's all content. So every single day I try to add value on social media, in my podcast, in my newsletter, and that has changed everything for me. So consistently putting out content, whatever that means to you, you can do that as a side hustle. You can do that while you're still in a 9 to 5 job. You can get started now. It doesn't cost anything to get started with content creation. And then the third thing I'd say is you got to focus on the email list. I was talking to a woman today and she's wildly successful, but not in the online sphere. She's had physical businesses. I won't name names, but everyone would know her business. And she said, I don't have an email list. And I thought, oh, well, if you're going to come into the online space and start growing your business, absolutely, you have to have an email list. And so this is something I regret. I waited 2 years to really focus on my list, and I wish I did it on day one. So list building is so important. So figuring out how to make money in the beginning, I always say phase 1, 2, creating content, and 3, growing that list. Those are the 3 areas I think are most important to focus on when you're just getting started.
That's really good. Now, when you're talking about content, you brought up a really good point, and it was a question that I had for you because you mentioned Hobie and your stepson and stuff like that. So this is what I struggle with personally, is when I'm creating content, I have no problem creating that professional level content. But when it comes to personal, I'm like, I feel I'm the most boring person in the world. How could anybody be interested in what I'm doing? So I
Oh
don't
my
put a
goodness.
lot of that personal content out.
I can totally relate. I felt the exact same way. And I also thought, like, I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like, I don't need to tell them about I'm doing this or I'm doing that or sharing something about my husband or whatever. I feel like, who cares? But what I realized is like when I'm scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, I gravitate toward people sharing their lives with me. Like, I want to know if you're a successful entrepreneur, what does your life look like? Because I want to know, do I want to learn from somebody that has a whole package, that they're not that they're perfect, but that they're living a lifestyle that I can really aspire to? And so letting me in behind the scenes became really important as I started to learn. And then I thought, oh, well, then I'm going to have to do it for my students as well.
So, Amy, this has just been such a wonderful talk with you. You're giving listeners so much to think about, so much to take action on as well, right? Is there anything that we've talked about that you still want to touch on before we go?
You know, that's such a great question. I think that the last thing that I'd like to add is when I was writing 2 weeks notice, the number one thing that was most important to me, and whether someone buys my book or not, I want them to hear this, that it starts with courage. Don't wait till you feel confident enough to do anything with your business. You will never, ever start. I always say that courage is that leap of faith. Confidence is, oh, I've got a little track record behind me. I'm going to keep moving forward. We don't have that in the beginning, and it really takes a long time to get there. Muster up all the courage you can in order to get started in any direction you want, because it's always a leap of faith. Although there's no guarantee, the rewards far exceed what it's going to cost to get there. So I just want people to get started. So look for the courage, not the confidence.
I absolutely love that. And so you mentioned that your book is available for pre-order. So we
Yeah,
will leave that link in the show notes as well.
thank
So
you.
make sure that you guys get out there, order the book. It's really good. Even if you're a seasoned business owner or you're new to online business, you're still going to have some great takeaways. So I highly encourage everybody to grab a copy.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a fun talk.
Oh, I loved it. I loved everything about it. So I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.